Hello, it's time for another book review. This time around we're doing book 3 of 9 in the Ali Beckstrom series by Devon Monk, titled Magic in the Shadows. Now, this one has some spoilery bits as to certain character deaths. So if you haven't read this one yet, hold off on watching this particular episode because I don't want to ruin some surprises for you. It would be a shame. But if you've already read it, then by all means keep on watching. I'll save the spoilery bits for the end because we might as well go through the back cover and a little bit of an excerpt from the first chapter to give you an idea of what this one's all about without giving you too many surprises for the climax. Let's see here. Book 3. Using magic wasn't as easy as the actors made it look in the movies. Every time you use magic, it uses you back. Sure, you could magic yourself a photographic memory for that big test, for that big interview, for that big stock market job, and all it cost you was a nice case of liver failure, or the memory of your lover's name. Magic is Alison Beckstrom's blessing and curse. As a hound, she uses her gifts to track down practitioners who abuse their power and then stops them from inflicting harm on unsuspecting innocents. Unfortunately, her spells have taken a toll on her, physically marking her and erasing her memories, including those of the man she supposedly loves. But lost memories aren't the only thing preying on Allie's thoughts. Her late father, the prominent businessman and sorcerer Daniel Beckstrom, has somehow channeled himself into her mind. With the help of the Authority, a secret organization of magic users, she hopes to gain better control over her own abilities and find a way to deal with her father. Yeah, this one gets a little crazy, as she now has her dead father's voice in her head. That's awkward on multiple levels. Not to mention, in this book, her excessive use of magic starts more than just marking her arms. It affects her ability to see magic, as it were, and just what leftover magic and imprints and stuff there happen to be out there in the world. And unfortunately, it also lets her know just what magic does in certain ways as retaliation for using magic. Until later on, when she kind of learns how to properly shield herself, it gets a little messy. Not to mention that someone that she put away on a previous hounding job comes back. He's out of jail and a little pissed off. And a little stab happy, for that matter, too. On multiple people. It does not end well. With or without her father's help, it does not end well. It also goes a little more in depth into other hounds in Portland, and it really sets up a lot of what Allie does in future books with the other hounds, which, once you actually read the other books, is really cool. But in this book, it's a little awkward because you don't really fully understand who some of these players are or what they're going to do for the overall plot. So you can be a little wary of them, but trust me, it gets good. And of course, now you have the Authority getting into the mix. So magic is not all exactly as it seems. There's a lot more to it than most people think. And the Authority kind of keeps track of all that in various ways that you'll learn more about in future books. Let's see here. Let's do page 1 and a couple lines to finish up a paragraph so you get an idea of just how this one kicks off. Rush hour traffic below my apartment window breathed a deep note behind the rise and fall of winter wind. Rain tapped like pinpricks against glass. The only noise besides my rapid breathing was the cold water pouring into the bathroom sink. That and my dead father's voice. Allison. My father's voice again. Distant, as if he strained to pitch it across a crowded room, a crowded street, a crowded city. I was the only one in my apartment, and my father was really dead this time. I'd gone to his funeral that morning and seen him buried, literally watched as his body was lowered into the grave. There was no mistake, no corpse stealing, no weird magical rituals this time. This time, he didn't have a second chance, third chance. He was well and truly gone. Allison. Oh, for cripe's sake, I said, yes out loud, to my empty apartment. You've got to be kidding me. What the hell, Dad? The bathroom mirror in front of me showed my panic. I was still a little too pale from the recent hospital stay, which made the opalescent mark of magic look even brighter where it wrapped from my fingertips up to my right arm, shoulder, and onto the edges of my collarbone, jaw, and temple. My dark hair was mussed from kissing Xavier Jones a few minutes before in the kitchen, but even though one eye was obscured by hair, a shadow stained my eyes. That shadow, I knew, was my father. Yeah. So, dead people don't really seem to stay dead very well, especially when they're incredibly stubborn and incredibly powerful magic users, and always seem to have a backup plan for everything. You have no idea. To be fair, it is kind of good to have a lot of backups and security and kind of escape plans, as it were, for multiple situations, and some of his redundancies do come in handy later on, but it takes a while to fully realize just how much her father plays a part in everything that is going on in the series. But yeah, this particular book introduces Pike, who is another hound and kind of an unofficial hound leader, as it were. For as long as that kind of works, or not, as the case kind of is. And a lot of other hounds are introduced, and you get to learn a lot more about them in future books, especially considering how the situation with the person who got out of jail, that whole situation does not end very well, or very cleanly. And there are some consequences of that, which Allie deals with in her own way, as you'll find out. And it's definitely for the better, after all is said and done. But it is harsh. So, just thinking of the upcoming books, the last few chapters of this one, they really pick up the pace once you realize just what's happening and who goes down for the count. But believe me, it gets even more intense as the books go on. The stakes continuously raise, more players enter into the mix, both dead and alive and questionable. There's a lot of people who don't really want to stay dead in this overall series, and you keep meeting more of them as things go on. But it's definitely interesting to see how the Authority plays more and more of a part in everything that's going on, and just how are things covered up in such a way that the general public doesn't realize all the stuff that's going down. Oh, it gets crazy in the next book. Just you wait. But you're gonna have to read this one first, so go to Devon Monk's website, check out the full excerpt of the chapter to get an idea of what you're getting into. Click on one of the links to purchase a copy of your very own. Or, as I've said in previous episodes, just buy the whole series outright. That way you're set and good to go to read through the entire series as you please. Alright, guys. If you have read this book, please post a comment. What did you think of it? How do you think it fit into the overall story arc? What did you think of Pike's part in the overall story? Let me specify that. What do you think of Pike's part in this book? Not the overall series yet. We don't want spoilers. Not yet, but in this book alone. How do you think that was dealt with? Post a comment and tune in next time round as we go into Book 4, which is Magic on the Storm. See you guys next time. could magic yourself a photographic memory for that big test, for that big interview, for that big stock market job, and all it cost you was a nice case of liver failure, or the memory of your lover's name. Magic is Alison Beckstrom's blessing and curse. As a hound, she uses... Hello, it's time for another book review. This time around we're doing book 3 of 9 in the Ali Beckstrom series by Devon. I don't want to ruin some surprises for you. It would be a shame. But if you've already read it, then by all means keep on watching. I'll save the spoilery bits for the end, because we might as well go through the back cover and a little bit of an excerpt from the first chapter, titled Magic in the Shadows. Now, this one has some spoilery bits as to certain character deaths. So if you haven't read this one yet, hold off on watching this particular episode, because I'll give you an idea of what this one's all about without giving you too many surprises for the climax. Let's see here. Book 3. Using magic wasn't as easy as the actors made it look in the movies. Every time you use magic, it uses you back. Sure, you